I'm back. We are so back. Nobody can even believe how back we are. Internet was dead for a second. Flat Earth Dennis, you there? Sorry, the anti-woke police got me. Yeah. The thing I'm confused the most is how can he be anti-woke and a Has-Been Hotel fan? Actually good point. Has-Been Hotel is not just woke, it is incredibly horny. I know this because I think I've seen some Hell of a Boss, and I think that's the same artist, and that person draws stuff incredibly horny. No, he's gone. Dang. Anyways, let me get back to that video. I'm not gonna end stream until I'm done with this video, so I want to get done with it.
$1 million, but this movie had a budget of $300 million.
Oh Jesus!
Well, Disney seems pretty confident
That's
in this
so
film,
bad.
and I'm sure out of the 4 films.
No, they're not confident. $300 million investment is not necessarily a badge of like artistic confidence. It's the whole like, oh, this is one of our best intellectual properties, so we're going to invest a lot of money into it to make a lot of money, hopefully.
Films I have talked about, the most woke won't end up being the most broke. I mean, Indiana Jones is a pretty big IP. Not as big as Spider-Man, but that...
Also, the original Indiana Jones is very woke. That Lithuanian CIA? No, you got it wrong. It was the anti-woke police. You see, I was too woke. I'm actually on good terms with the Lithuanian CIA, you see. I had to contact my handler to get them to cut off the anti-woke police, give them the memo that I'm okay because I'm Flat Earth Dennis's favorite racist. Yeah.
That film did really good. I mean, if one film based on a big IP did good, then this one
he's really teeing it up here.
Right? Let me give Mickey a call real quick and ask him something.
Mickey, whoa.
Hey, Mickey, are you there? I just gotta ask you something. Oh, hey, Jar. I'm about to jump off a building.
What? I blinked. I missed it. What? Damn, #1 racist, owner of wokeism, and the best Lithuanian CIA propaganda spreader. That's me, baby. That's fucking right. I'm putting all that on my resume.
So please, make it quick. Again, this is like the 3rd time this week.
Please,
I'm just curious as to how your Indiana Jones movie did. Lucas,
there's a Hassan bit? Never mind, I love this movie now.
It's just not worth anything anymore.
Live Hassan reaction.
I'm just gonna sell it back to George Lucas. Mickey, hello? You there?
Unironically, I think for how bad George Lucas was at writing dialogue, I think George Lucas having more like directorial control over his movies would be for the better. I think like Star Wars and Indiana Jones would do a lot better if he was still, or him or someone like-minded to him was directing those movies. The issue was just that I think George Lucas needed like a team of writers to make sure he wasn't writing the most cringe shit imaginable. Anyways.
Probably in a place with bad service.
Yeah, okay.
So was Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Time, a success? No. But was it?
No. Grossed $368 million on a $295 million budget. That's like... I think that's like kind of a wash, right? A movie needs to make like... I don't think it's twice as much as its price tag suggests, right? So like a $300 million movie doesn't need to make $600 million, but it does need to make like $400 million, $450 million to break even and make a little bit of money. $368 million on a $295 million budget for a movie is definitely not what you want to see if you're making the movie or if you're like in charge of the financial decision making. So yeah, pretty cringe, I guess. Cringe movie.
woke. Well, Disney made this movie, so what do you think? Yep, just like how now
maybe?
the Force is female, or how Willow is female for some reason. Indiana Jones is now also female-led. I really don't understand Kathleen Kennedy's strategy of taking a male-led franchise and, you know, making...
Oh, the Kathleen Kennedy strategy. Okay, Kathleen Kennedy gets a lot of shit because I don't think she's a very good writer on her own. But the reason that she got shit for Star Wars The Last Jedi first is because she's a woman, many such cases. But then secondly is because for Star Wars, the Star Wars sequels, right? I've come around on those movies. I don't think they're that good. Except for the Last Jedi, I will defend as being a good movie and actually, like, worth engaging with. One of the things that really sunk that trilogy was the fact that it wasn't just Kathleen Kennedy writing things. It was like a committee. There was like a committee of writers. They almost handled it like it was corporate decision making in writing those movies. And that's why so many things were either just plain bad or did not age well upon like second and third viewings. It was like... It was almost like kind of writing the slop content, but that was like an early form of that in the movies. At least the like 2010s post-internet sort of slop content. That's always been the case, that there have been like cheesy B-movie stuff and whatever. But yeah.
Character, like
whoa,
taking a male-led franchise and, you know, making a Mary Sue the main character. Like, do you think in an alternate dimension there...
Making a Mary Sue the main character. You mean a woman? You know, I think they like... He needs to explain like why the character in Indiana Jones was actually like not a great lead, I think. Because look, the reason that that The Force Awakens wasn't like as good as New Hope or whatever is not the Mary Sue stuff, believe it or not. Luke is a Mary Sue. He's a Mark Sue or like whatever the fuck. He's the male equivalent of that, but nobody gives him shit for it. That's ultimately not the reason that Force Awakens was bad, because they do have some like justifying ground for Rey to be able to do the things that she does. How does she know mechanics so well? Oh, well, she's a scavenger. She had to do that to survive. And, you know, she's coming from pretty dire circumstances and whatever. Is it possible to write characters like that poorly? Yeah, sure it is. But, like, I think because the label gets thrown around so flippantly by anti-SJW types, I would appreciate an explanation of like, what he means in this instance. So. Once I hit the cannon here, I'll resume the video.
There's a guy named Carl Kennedy who's running a whole bunch of girl-led shows, and in each and every single one of them, he's making a brunette British man the main character. And by the way, each of these new male main characters are better at everything than everyone else. As if it wasn't enough for Harrison Ford's character, Han Solo, to play second fiddle to a woman.
Hey, Han, I know this is your...
Well, hold on a second. That's just fucking, like... That's just fucking 1960s-ass sexism. Damn, I can't believe they made a man play second fiddle to a woman. Like, what? Dude, I was even ready to agree that, like... Yeah, okay, you know, if they introduce a bunch of characters that are sort of unexplained, like, good at all this shit, or like, you know, they violate a lot of character-building tropes and trends and whatever, then, like, yeah, that's not good. But then he's like, and they had to ruin it by putting a woman in charge. Like, what the fuck? God damn, he shot his own point in the foot so hard with this one.
Been on for years, but I just fixed a problem with it.
I'm dead.
I bypassed the compressor my first day flying on it, or any ship for that matter.
Oh man, you're so brilliant.
Also, it's implied that like Han also knows that, but like it just took a little bit longer to figure it out. I think they explain in the movie that like, oh yeah, somebody else installed this thing. Like, it wasn't there before. Somebody else put it on here, and then Rey just, like, ripped it out. I don't know.
brilliant and smart. Want a job? You're nothing like that one whiny farm boy I met on another desert planet, but not the same desert planet.
They also had to do it to Harrison Ford's most beloved character. Now, I'm not going to go over...
Now, hold on. I don't think you can fairly make the argument that Harrison Ford was more beloved as Indy than as fucking Han Solo in Star Wars. I think this is, you know, one of those IPs is a bit more popular. But yeah, this is actually, I think The Force Awakens is actually not a great example of the Mary Sue tropes, because it's kind of explained why Rey is good at the things that she's good at. And this is also, like, this is just her being quicker than Han, not necessarily being smarter. You know, he doesn't think of this, but, like, I'm sure if he had the time, he might have been able to see, like, oh, yeah, because he knows the ship, but ultimately it hasn't been in his hands for a while, right? This scenario that everybody keeps picking apart makes sense in context. I fucking wish they wouldn't bring this up. There are valid examples to this. This guy literally mentioned one earlier. It was like, oh yeah, they introduce a bunch of, like, unexplained male characters, like, you know, this British male characters or whatever, that are just better at everything than everybody else. I would love to see that explored, and I would also love to see, like, if there's an explanation for, like, oh yeah, this new female lead somehow knows all her way around, like, everything. I would love to see that explained too, because, like, it's entirely possible that those critiques are justified, but he had to pick the one fucking example where it wasn't.
You've been on for years, but I just fixed a problem with it. I bypassed the compressor my first day flying on it, or any ship for that matter.
Oh man, you're so brilliant and smart. Want a job? You're nothing like that one whiny farm boy I met on another desert planet, but not the same desert planet.
They also had...
By the way, this is him, like, fantasizing about some fucking imagined cuckoldry. Everybody who's a reactionary is like this, right? Oh, you're so much better than this other guy that's, like, a stand-in for the viewer or whatever. This is fucking cuck fetish shit. Because that interaction doesn't happen. It never happened. And to my knowledge, it never will happen in Star Wars, because that's not the kind of, like, character conflict that typically exists in that story. It's very weird. Very weird.
To Harrison Ford's most beloved character. Now, I'm not going to go over this film beat by beat. I have another video in the works about the destruction of all the Lucasfilms IPs that Disney has used.
I'm dead.
Way more detail in that video, so I rather not repeat myself too much. Of course, it starts off with Indiana Jones fighting German soldiers from World War II. Yep, YouTube won't let me say the word Yahtzee, but with an N instead of a Y.
Yeah,
totally
that's pretty fucked.
For a movie that's rated PG-13,
actually,
just like YouTube.
No, hold on. YouTube will let you say the word Nazi. I say it all the time. You just can't get monetized if you say that word. Valid concern and whatever, for sure. But, you know, let's be clear here. Ooh, this route is fun. I need an item box. I need it so badly. There we go.
And no, he doesn't just fight these guys in a flashback. He's also fighting them again in 1969. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Okay.
Wasn't America's enemy communist at the time? Well, the answer is yes. And they were also his enemy in Indiana Jones 4.
Well, now hold on. Hold on a second. I think he's about to bring up the critique of, like, why is he fighting Nazis in the 60s? On the surface, that might be a valid critique and whatever, right? Nazis were a wartime enemy in the 40s. But here's the thing, right? That doesn't mean that Nazism went away. We're seeing right now, we're having a resurgence of Nazism in the United States and in other countries as well. And there were certainly, like, some, like, small Nazi groups that were active after the war. In fact, there was, like, you know, there's a whole controversy about Operation Paperclip, where the U.S. recruited German scientists, many of whom were Nazis. But many of whom also weren't. Yeah, I don't think it's a great idea necessarily to critique the whole, like, the concept of you're fighting Nazis post-World War II. But again, it is possible to do that poorly. We'll see if that gets done poorly, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the concept in itself.
But because communism is considered woke nowadays, we need to have
No, I don't think that's why. I don't think that's why they did that. I think Nazism is a much easier enemy because, frankly, the Nazi atrocities have always been much more visceral than communist atrocities, like from the USSR and whatever. Even if the USSR and China have a much higher body count, but they weren't active wartime enemies of the United States, so that kind of propagandism doesn't work with those usually. And a lot of times when people do movies like that where China and Russia are the bad guys, they dribble into like just straight up racist territory where it's like, oh yeah, all Russians actually are like this, or all Chinese people are actually like this, which is a much more sensitive subject than saying all Germans are like this, because Germans are white people and virtually indistinguishable from insert other white demographic here, whatever. Look, the reason that they didn't go with communists is probably because it was a harder narrative to write and justify as them being like the objective villains than with Nazis. You have to do a little bit more legwork with communists, because they're like, it's hard. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but it is absolutely not because of like, oh, communism is woke now, so they can't do that. No. In fact, if ever there was a time to do that, it would have been with the original Indiana Jones movie. That came out in the 1970s. Or like early 80s. You know? But they went with Nazis instead, because it was a much easier enemy. And to be frank, also, a lot of the people who make a lot of their politics about being anti-communist, like the people who advertise constantly or who will fixate on that as a central political message, are themselves usually Nazis or some stripe of fascist, because the thing that they hate isn't necessarily the thing that they hate is not like the atrocities of the USSR or whatever. They just hate that the USSR A wasn't doing that to the Jews, and B, they also hate that, like, they hate that there's like a sort of left-wing idealism that involves including people. That's the part that they hate about it. They hate the good things about communism. They don't hate the bad things that all the communist countries have done. They just wish that they were the ones doing it. Again, with the sort of cuck fetishism. Nazis hyperfixate on communism because communist states have cucked them out of being able to commit mass atrocities on a larger scale.
Indiana Jones keep bashing the fish. Indiana Jones is currently depressed.
Also, yeah, I'm not gonna get upset. By the way, this guy, like, if you step back and look at what this guy is saying or think about it, it is really weird that he's upset that fascists are the bad guy in a movie. Like, okay, would you rather fascists be not the bad guy? Like, if you're gonna have fascists in your movie, right? Wasn't Stalin planning to attack Jews before his death? Planning? I mean, the USSR already had deported a lot of Jews to Siberia. You know, it wasn't just a plan in the works. But yes, I don't doubt that.
Why? Because his son is dead. Wait, what? And his wife has divorced him as well. But
I'm going to skip this part because I don't trust him to accurately summarize a movie that he doesn't like. I don't think that's especially one that I have literally no idea about. Elementals, what was it, Elementals? The one with the fire people, the water people, whatever. That I had heard some things about. This I literally know nothing, so I'm gonna skip. Skip. Why no one wasted time on Indiana Jones 5? Probably because it was bad. And this guy says, actually because it was woke and bad. But, you know.
I almost forgot. Some people said that Transformers Rise of the Beauty and the Beast was also a bomb.
Rise of the Beauty and the Beast. Very true.
Domestically, yes, it didn't do so hot. But worldwide, it just managed to break even. Transformers is one of the very few franchises that can still be a success, even if it doesn't do good domestically. It had a budget of 195 to 200 million. and it grossed 420 million worldwide. Now, you may have heard that theaters take half the money a movie makes. That's not entirely true. It's a little less than that, and it also depends on which country you're talking about.
Yeah.
I might do a video about this in the future, but just to...
You know, I think it would be cool for this guy to make videos about things that he does actually know about, as opposed to things that he pretends to know things about but ultimately doesn't, or thinks that he knows things about. I don't doubt that this guy probably has a pretty extensive knowledge of the actual mechanics that go into the production, marketing, and distribution of a film, and that'd be really interesting to know about, because I got a little bit of that in like an introductory film class that I took in college. You know, we talked a little bit about like, oh, you know, you have to do this in pre-production, and then production's a little bit, you know, has these steps to it, and then like this is the way in which like a movie gets marketed, and the kind of money that it needs to make in order to be successful, considered a good return on investment, things like that. But you know, I think a full picture would be a lot better for people, especially because it would help people understand what parts of a movie are or not what parts of a movie. It can help people understand why there's a dissonance between what movies are good and what movies get made, you know? Because, you know, I don't know if this guy realizes it. Maybe he would if you sat him down and talked to him about it for an extended period of time. But ultimately, the profit motive is what's sinking the movie industry right now, you know? You might even call it a tendency of the rate of profit to fall. That more and more corner cutting and like laziness in filmmaking is resulting on worse movies on average, and it's like rarer and rarer that we get a good one, and not anything to do, in fact, with wokeness.
To make the math easier, let's cut in.
But I think that'd be interesting.
The cost of their
I don't know if I would watch it, but you know.
We're left with a cool $10 million.
Hi, comrade. How are you? Came from the tag socialism. Hi, welcome to chat, Vittor Benedetti. I'm doing all right. Reviewing this guy's video, who is a whole smorgasbord of weird political takes. This just a robot fella who's apparently an anti-woke progressive or something like that. Like, he's got a lot of anti-woke brain rot when he talks about media, but actually does understand that there are the systemic issues that people care about, and that there is a correct way to like talk about that. So I'd say I'm doing all right.
After we subtract
despite the brain damage, of course.
Yeah, they basically broke even. At least they'll make a little money.
Yeah, anti-woke libertarian while having progressive values. Very weird stuff.
Through DVD and Blu-ray sales, it being on streaming services, and of course we can't forget about the Transformer merchandising. This was a pretty expensive commercial for it, and considering it didn't really lose or make any money, I say
from
that's
Brazil.
a success.
You're from the US, yes? Yes, I am from the United States. Hope things are going alright down there.
I know it might sound like I'm being sarcastic, but merchandising is where the real money is for franchises. But
yes, okay. This is definitely something that this guy knows a lot about, is the marketing and financial aspects of making a movie. Star Wars is the most infamous example where like so much of the money that comes in to the coffers from Star Wars is from merchandise, toys, like shirts, clothes, like games, all that shit. So much money to be made from that. This is why sometimes companies can be kind of sheepish about producing more mature content. When stuff is palatable for kids, it's a lot easier to make money off of. Vittor Benedetti, thank you very much for the follow. Yeah, like, toys are a very easy way to make money. Cheap, super cheap. You just get some plastic and mold it into the shape, and you have a captive audience, kids who are very dumb and will eat that shit up. This guy had a very Christian fundamentalist and abusive mother who pushed her values on him. That may be the reason for why he has more progressive values. That sucks to hear. I'm very sorry that he had that kind of upbringing. You never want to hear that. And, it's interesting. A lot of people get, kind of discover their more progressive values as a product of, like, an abusive upbringing. That That could also, you know what? That could also be part of the reason that he went down the anti-SJW path. I don't know if you guys remember if you were on the internet back then, but some of the anti-SJW video making crowd were sort of spawned from the new atheists on the internet. You know, it's possible that like it's like as visceral of a rejection of Christian fundamentalism as you can really get. I don't want to like psychoanalyze or infantilize this guy or anything, but like I don't know. I guess that's you know, that sucks, bro.
The real
Skeptic atheist. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Transformers movie woke or not? Now, I want to make it clear, I haven't seen this Transformers movie, and I'm never going to see it along with any
True,
movie
honestly.
because I find them to be incredibly historically inaccurate. Yes, I am a bit of a Decepticon sympathizer. I decided to look up Transformers Rise of the Machine, Get Woke, Go Broke on YouTube. I remember a lot of people were talking about this clip where one of the Transformers identified as non-binary. Bro, you're a robot just like me. You're nothing but a binary. But then again, considering Transformers are alien robots,
that's pretty good, I guess.
Have a quantum computer inside of them, which would make them non-binary, but I highly doubt it. Now, personally, I'm one of those guys.
I don't know if he's shitposting. I'll see this through to see if he's shitposting, but if he's not, I have some thoughts.
Who doesn't believe there's an infinite amount of genders? Hell, I don't believe in more than 2.
Okay, this is retard shit. He is not shitposting, and in fact, this is retard shit. Robots do not have gender, thank you. We don't know what kind of gender concept they have on Robot World, Transformers World. Non-binary just means not man or woman, which, I mean, a robot isn't, so I guess. Also, we made that shit up. We made up gender. We could fucking create infinite genders if we wanted to. Yeah. In fact, let's play this game right now. How do you know that I'm a man? Sorry, I don't want to make that pause too dramatic, too pregnant or whatever. The reason that you would know that I'm a man, to assume it, to look at me, is not because I'm going to pull down my pants and show my dick on camera. I'm not going to do that. The reason that you can tell I'm a guy is because I have a deep voice, is because I have more gruff facial features for lack of skin care, most likely. Because I wear more masculine clothing and behave masculine. It's ultimately all in the behavior. You know, the divide between who is a man and who is a woman is not like a biologically essentialist thing. There's way better videos for me to like point to that could explain this a lot better. Ultimately, I think it's cringe enough. I think it's cringe enough that he's like going for 2017 era. There are only 2 genders talking points, because like. Sure, we'll see how well that treats you at the gay bar when like half the people there are trans and probably a quarter of them are non-binary. I think I'll let that one play out on its own. Also, this is like, you could read most articles in like any medical journal and they would confirm what I have to say about this, which is that like, still, you shouldn't copy iShow's speed with the D-stream? Yeah, no, I wasn't planning to. Yeah, Republicans are pretty insane. A lot of conservatives in a lot of different countries, for some reason, are very, very concerned with what is inside the pants of underage children. Very sus indeed. And that is how committed they are to making sure that there are only 2 genders and that kids aren't being groomed. We will literally subject you to mandatory dick inspection.
In fact, I don't even believe in 2. I only believe there's 1 gender. It's either nerf or nothing. But that...
Okay, maybe he was shitposting, in which case that may have been a little bit too harsh. Yes, there is only 1 gender, and it's mine. You can't have it. Mom said it's my turn. It's my gender now. This could also be like him just doing the whole ambiguous post about whether he actually believes something or not. That's possible.
That line was from
I don't know what he actually believes. I don't know if he knows what he actually believes. I've been driving like shit this race, by the way. Listen to the video. It's always your turn? Yeah, it's my gender. You can't have it.
The movie. Yeah, I saw someone using this clip from the cartoon to say that the movie was woke for some reason. Like, first of all, buddy, those are two different things. Sure, I guess you could say they're somewhat related, but that's about it. If we were getting a new live-action He-Man movie, I wouldn't bash on it for being woke because things happened in the Netflix show Masters of the Universe Revelations. Also,
He-Man is a woke as fuck character. You have any idea how gay that man looks? If you had an anti-woke He-Man, he wouldn't be He-Man. He has to be, like, turbo gay in order to be recognizable as He-Man. He-Man is inherently woke. I will not accept any slander to our boy.
So if one brief scene about non-binary pronouns is enough for you to scream out, woke, woke...
True, he literally has the pronouns in his name.
It's too woke for me, then you're in for a rude awakening, buddy. Like, if I had a woke scale going from 1 to 10, with a 10 being that Velma show, a 9 being She-Hulk,
By the way, that show was, like, basically nothing. That show was written, apparently, by, like, weird TERFs, like, transphobes, about, like... It was some second wave bullshit that, like, nobody liked. It basically only existed for outrage bait. Also, I agree She-Hulk probably, like, wasn't all that good. I haven't watched it, not going to watch it. I have no interest in it. They did my boy Hulk dirty, and that's what I care about. So, fuck that show, I guess.
5 being a normal movie, like, I don't know, Star Wars A New Hope, a 3 being Gone with the Wind, and a 1 being something like, Birth of a Nation. Then I would put a brief scene talking about non-binary pronouns had a 5.2. I saw a few other people calling this movie woke because it had brown people as the main characters. Apparently there's a line from one of the characters saying that he steals because he doesn't like capitalism. And apparently near the start there's a black person going in for a job interview, and his family tells him to laugh at the white people's jokes, so he is more likely to get a job.
Yeah.
Really? That's it? Brown people...
Wait, okay. All the things that he listed there, first of all, I think what he's doing here is he's agreeing that, like, those things make for a good story, and they're, like, very immersive and don't, like, break the experience or whatever. Those are also all very woke things. Like, a black family telling their kid, like, hey, you know, you go in there, you gotta laugh at the white man's jokes so you can actually get a job, because, you know, we know who runs this bitch. Right? Like, that's a woke-ass message to send to people. That, like, hey, systemic racism still exists, by the way. You know, we have to try to live with that until we can fix it. You know? And the bit about, like, somebody shoplifting because they don't like capitalism or whatever. I know people who are like this. I am like this sometimes. I don't shoplift because I don't need to. But, like, ultimately, I have no ethical problem with shoplifting because it's, like, the public commons and shit. Yeah, I guess this is an example of this guy, you know, the intersection of this guy's progressive politics and his anti-woke politics, is that in his mind, more than anything, woke equals bad. And if something is progressive and it's good, well, then that means it can't be woke, because woke is only when something is bad.
Character not liking capitalism and one very mildly racist joke towards white people. Like, holy shit, dude, right-wing SJW.
Yeah, this guy is capitalizing on anti-woke content while himself being woke. You know? You know what I think? What I think he's, in some way, he's reaching for, if I ever, like, agreed with one of his criticisms of, like, wokeness, would be liberalism. That's probably the most common point of agreement that we would have, is that liberals don't have any fundamental interest in solving systemic issues, but have some sort of interest in, like, bearing witness to suffering or whatever it is, and they'll be like, oh, racism is bad, but also we shouldn't do anything to fundamentally change the systems that perpetuate racism, or some shit like that. When he thinks woke, he just thinks of the screeching Gamergate feminist. That probably is what he thinks of. I can fix him, I promise. I'm just kidding, I don't know.
It'd be pretty cringe sometimes. Like, I guess you could say it was racist towards white people, but it didn't offend me personally. I thought it was...
Dude, true. Also, here the thing about, like, racist jokes about white people, they are racist, but like, they don't do the kind of social harm or whatever that a racist joke against black people do, especially coming from a white person, right? Like, at the end of the day, you make all the racist jokes about white people you want. Fuck it. You know, white people are still the dominant racial power group. You know, it's like, if anything, those kind of jokes only hurt, like, minorities, if anything, because, like, it would just reinforce that divide. And that divide is less detrimental, or least detrimental, I should say, to white people, which is why I think everybody should eventually be comfortable with making racist jokes about everybody, but we're not there yet, so. Also, there is a bar there. It has to be a good joke. And a lot of people who like making racist jokes about racial minorities are fucking incapable of making a good joke, because for them, the joke is just, haha, I love racism. You know? Anyways, another tangent. Go off. Very confused king. This guy's brain is non-binary because it can't settle itself on a given position, and I support him.
It's kind of funny and true. I guess we're gonna start seeing right-wingers push for microaggressions for white people next. The biggest
Bro, true? Holy shit.
issue I have
That's
with the
that's
term
actually
woke go broke
a good
is how
joke.
people on the far right will use it to describe any movie
Ah.
that has even a little shred of wokeness in it.
Now you're
What
speaking
I'm
my
trying to say
language.
is,
Fuck the
don't
far
pander
right.
to the 5% of the people who are on the far left, and don't immediately go in the complete opposite direction and pander to the 5% of people who are on the far right. Aim for the 90% who are in the middle. Sure, according to
Enlightened centrism. I mean, you can, you know, you can make your film to appeal to whoever you want. There's material circumstances to keep in mind. And that might be what he's missing here, is that, like, at the end of the day, this stuff is not dictated by, like, who should we appeal to for X, Y, or Z moral reasons, but it's more so just a game of marketing. You know, because for-profit industry and all that. Also, I would dare say that, like, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse really fucking appeals to people on the far left. Like, if you consider anarchists and socialists as constituent parts of the far left, you know, maybe that first rule isn't something that you have to 100% adhere to. But if you make some Nazi shit, then you've made Nazi shit, and that's usually not good. You know, funny enough, wouldn't you know it, appealing to Nazi shit is a lot more detrimental to a widely appealing marketing project than appealing to anarchism and you know, socialists and stuff like that.
some
Who
people,
would've thunk it?
Spider-Verse and the new Transformer movies are woke. But I want to make it clear that's certainly not my opinion. Ruby Gillman didn't bomb because it was
This
woke.
guy also sees no problem with Sound of Freedom, and that is a retarded take. Yeah. I've heard mixed things about Sound of Freedom as a movie itself, but ultimately I think the biggest problem with it is the way that it portrays child trafficking as some sort of, like, thing that you have to go and heroically fix. It, like, the way it narrativizes it as if it's this sort of thing that doesn't necessarily, like, systemically happen as a result of the, like, the wanton desires of the bourgeoisie and the people in power and whatever. And that this fucking, like, QAnon adjacent guy has any role in fixing it. I think that's pretty bad and, like, unconscionable, basically. Because there have been a number of, like, human rights orgs who try to combat human trafficking as it now exists, that are, like, saying, yeah, QAnoners make our job way the fuck harder, because they just call everybody a child predator and shit. You know? Pretty cringe take.
Bombed because it was a movie that offered nothing new. I haven't seen the Flash movie. I don't know if it's woke or not, but it didn't bomb because it was woke. It bombed because
there you
it was
go.
a DC movie and it was starring Ezra Miller.
That's true. Also, it bombed because... Well, it didn't bomb because DC plus Ezra Miller. It bombed because DC plus Ezra Miller plus bad movie plus CGI plus L plus ratio. That's why it bombed. So that's the full picture. Plus Baby in Microwave also. Plus ratio again. Until the president of Argentina solved child trafficking by legalizing it. Yeah, true. I was gonna say, yeah, he will solve the child trafficking problem by simply becoming the CEO of child trafficking. Every libertarian is like this. Libertarian, that is. If somebody calls themselves a libertarian socialist, though, they are not like this, because they're basically not not a libertarian. That gets into the complications of like who calls themselves what versus the implications of the actual philosophy behind the label or whatever. But yeah, not a good crowd to be hanging around in.
It was a little woke, but it more so bombed because, just like Ruby Gillman, it was an average.
Elementals bombed because fucking, I think it just like had no substance behind it or something. Look, there's a lot of reasons. Ultimately, I think the sloppy allegory that he pointed out earlier was the biggest reason that the movie bombed. Because like it is reasonable to watch a movie like that and come away thinking that the message of that movie is that racism is fundamentally okay. That's probably why the movie bombed, is because of like you don't want to say that in your movie. Ow. Ah, not quite. 3 reds. Oh, red shells can go over that? That's interesting.
Movie that didn't
This guy's a libertarian too. I wonder what he thinks of Millet. I don't know. He probably thinks some shit about like, oh, he's gonna go to fight the World Economic Forum. He's gonna take it to the big boys. Some normie shit like that. I think if anything, if nothing else, this guy has established that he's basically just a normie more than anything. You know? Let me finish this race here, because this baby park, it tends to get a bit hectic. And I'll see what's up. Oh, oops, no item. And I'm coming in 8th place.
Your evidence contradicts what you're saying in this video. The only get woke go broke example you have is Indiana Jones 5. Exactly. Aside from Spider-Man, it was by far the biggest IP, and it had the highest budget out of all of these movies. Have you ever heard the phrase too big to fail? When a
Hold on! He might be cooking.
company gets really, really big, smaller companies, the media, and a bunch of other people will make sure it doesn't fail. Because if it does, all those who are propping it up would start making less and less money. Matt Pat on his channel Film Theory
Wait a minute! He's cooking? Legend spoke of the man who could cook this hard in a schizophrenic state of mind.
already talked about this in a video called We Killed the MCU. If you want a little extra information, I would
That video might be based as fuck. I might want to check that out. Who knows?
recommend checking that video out. But basically, the Marvel Cinematic Universe was single-handedly holding up the theater industry. If it died, all the other film franchises together...
And then the MCU died. Holy shit. Okay, yeah. To be fair, I don't think that's the only reason the film industry died, or like had a die-off period. But it certainly isn't good for the film industry to stake so much on one series or one like IP.
wanted to make enough money to keep the theaters open. When a Marvel movie was gonna drop, the other movies would make room, so it would have less competition. The media always talked about these movies in a positive light, and critics gave them thunderous applause. But they knew Marvel wasn't going to last forever, so they needed something to replace it. Maybe something from LucasArts, like Indiana Jones or Star Wars. Well, Marvel got more and more woke, and the movies made less and less money. Same with Star
No, Marvel didn't get more and more woke. In fact, I think, probably... God, what killed Marvel was not, like, some woke shit. In fact, Endgame, I think, was the highest grossing movie of all time, and that literally had a, like, a fucking girl power moment in the final scene. On repeat viewings, it's pretty cringe, because it feels really forced. And I would rather, like, be watching one of the movies where, like, there's a more authentically written role for the female characters and stuff, which does exist in Marvel, by the way. But that's not a... He's doing the go woke, go broke bit, even though he doesn't agree with that line of logic, as he himself has admitted. Oh, oops, I'm dead.
Star Wars as well. Sure, the first one may have made $1 billion, but then the movie started making less and less money. Indiana Jones was their last hope, and after people saw what Disney did to
You
Marvel
fucking
and Star
asshole,
Wars,
Rosa.
they were not willing to give it the time
God
of
damn.
day. So if people are not going to go to the movies,
This guy's
and
stream
droves
sniping
to
for
see
sure.
something big, like a Marvel or Star Wars movie, then why would they even bother to go see Ruby Gillman? You can have the biggest IPs at your disposal, $100 million worth of special effects, and all the positive press in the world. But at the end of the day, all those things don't matter that much if you don't keep your fans happy. And the fans
That's
are
kinda
not happy
true.
with woke bullshit.
Nah, the fans are actually perfectly fine with that. They're not okay with overworked CGI artists and, like, bad movies. That's ultimately what they're not okay with. That's what's been sinking the MCU. I don't know if you guys have noticed. The CGI in MCU movies used to be a landmark fucking achievement, you know? Truly, like, a paragon of advancement in the industry. And now it's just, like, bargain bin bullshit, you know? Because they overwork the CGI artists and like, they don't have a union, so the executives and the producers all exploit that. And as a result, like, you get worse and worse quality movies because they hinge more and more of those movies on the CGI artists. Go woke. It's like going woke has no bearing on whether or not you go broke. You know? It's possible for a movie to be woke and, like, perform at the box office, and it's also possible to not, you know? It all has to do with the other extenuating circumstances of a movie.
Stone went woke, the entire film industry went broke. Of course, they won't take any personal responsibility. They'll blame it on streaming services, superhero fatigue, and
Unironically, those are more valid reasons for what's happening right now. The streaming services, meaning that, like, there's not as much of a reason to go to the movies anymore, is a big reason why the film industry started declining in the sense of, like, people going to the theaters and stuff like that. And what was the other thing he listed?
personal responsibility. They'll blame it on streaming services, superhero fatigue.
Superhero fatigue was also a big part of this. Think about it. This had been 10 plus years of superhero movies being a mainstay of film culture. And that certainly does not help people. That certainly does not help your case when you're making another superhero movie that you're hoping to draw people to the theaters for, because it's like, it is oversaturation of a genre. It is market oversaturation. It's literally like the supply-demand thing. There's more supply than there is demand, or some shit like that. This is very basic marketing and economics.
And the lockdowns, which have already been lifted, before they ever...
The lockdowns also did have this effect, but this was more lasting as a result of the lockdowns. It almost doesn't matter that the lockdowns have been lifted anymore, because people, like, have sort of... There's an inertia that comes with functioning in an antisocial climate. And for a lot of people, it's not that easy to go to the movies anymore. People don't have as many friends as they used to, and things like that. So all of the things that he listed as being like, they'll distract you by saying one of these things, all of those are more valid reasons for the film industry's decline than what he just said about, like, oh, go broke. Oh, shit. Poor Dry Bones. Hopefully he's gonna make fun of that opinion, hopefully. I doubt it.
Find a new industry to infect. They'll destroy the movie industry, streaming services, and so much more. Eventually, people will only watch things on certain websites, like YouTube. Hey, come on now, that money has to go somewhere, and I personally think that my pocket is a pretty good place for it.
Damn,
Coming in here real
pretty
quick
shameless.
to say that my patron Bloody Eclipse wanted me to...
Okay. No one's gonna watch 20 movies and 4 TV shows to be caught up with the universe. Yeah, exactly! The fucking MCU introduced, like, you have to do homework now and some shit like that. Really not a good model to set. Also, I'm way far behind because this guy filled my brain with retard shit, and now I can't drive because I'm retarded. This is your fault. just a robot. I blame you for this. Anyways, I don't even know what to take away from that, because frankly, this guy didn't either. If I want to be charitable towards him, I would highlight the very strong arguments that he made about there's a correct way to do this, and also like the too big to fail bit, and all of the economic critiques and stuff of like the producers being fucking ghouls. You know, there are things that I could positively speak of here, but I could just as easily be not very charitable, because, let's be real, he gave me ample opportunity to not be charitable with the retarded shit that he said. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I do have a set takeaway from that, other than this guy has incoherent politics. And like, it is good that he can potentially take a Gamergator audience and pull them leftwards, but at the same time, this guy's not doing anybody's brain any favors, I don't think. Used to be my favorite YouTuber. Yeah. You know what? I last time I jumped to conclusions by saying, like, you might want to unsubscribe from this guy. I'm not gonna say something that harsh, I think. You can subscribe to whoever you want. In fact, I think there is some value in watching videos like that. Yeah, ultimately, I don't know what to make of that guy's brain. I don't know what to make of that guy's politics. He doesn't know what to make of his politics. And that's all I have to say on the matter. I think that if I wanted to go back and address the overarching question, is every movie bombing because of wokeness? No. I respect how someone could watch such brain rot and maintain 9,000 VR for a period of time. Thank you, Xyland MK, and also welcome to chat. Great to have you here. Unfortunately, I'm at the end of stream. I'm also at the end of my rope. Yeah, if I want to go back and address the overarching question that he rhetorically posed in the video title, are movies bombing because of wokeness? No. Wokeness has little to no bearing on whether or not a movie bombs. What a movie lives or dies on the quality of its writing and how much money has been sunk into the project. Paradoxically, beyond a certain point, spending more money on a movie does not make it better. It just makes your chances of failing higher. And, you know, with wokeness, nobody fucking knows what that word means. But in this guy's case, it's like axiomatic woke equals bad. So if something's bad, it's woke. And if something's woke, it's bad. And if something's progressive and good, that means it can't be woke. Very incoherent, like, very incoherent set of beliefs in there rattling around. This guy is even a Vosh head. If his 2-second recommendation wasn't ironic. Yeah, you know what? I will choose to be more charitable because this guy thinks positively of Vosh, and that's like a way rarer sight. I think that there is like the wokeness that this guy maybe is referring to, I think, is a genuine phenomenon that company executives love to engage in, that probably makes writers fucking grit their teeth because they're like, holy shit, how do I write this? You know, how do I write this? Because like they're interested, the producers and the executives are interested in collecting a check. A lot of them are racist fucks, so their image of what diversity looks like is very skewed. Now that I think about it, he might have been ironic. It could have been, but I'm going to operate on the assumption that it wasn't. At least for now. Yeah, look, I don't want to get too deep into the parasocial bit. To me, that video seems like kind of a wash, but I think for normies that could be a potential force to pull leftward, especially with the direction that other anti-SJW YouTubers have gone. So, yeah. He also says no socialists have jobs. Yeah, okay, back to retard shit, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Look, this might be the first time that I've seen a video like that, and I'm like, I genuinely don't know what to think. I think his first principles are two things. First, he does not like the circumstances of his upbringing. Of like, he doesn't like the Christian fundamentalism. He doesn't like the fucking abuse and shit, and that led him to the like the new atheist and whatever. And then number 2 is that he's a retard. And that's it. That's my assessment of that video. All right. Anyways, stream is done. I'm gonna see if anybody else is live. Not likely. Yeah. Okay. Is a vid just on his politics if you want more content? Stop! I might do that in the future, but I don't want to... I'm not going to become a drama YouTuber. Bye-bye. See y'all later.